Welcome to The Clue. Today we uncover the life of Victor Banjo, a soldier, an engineer, and a man whose story is filled with courage, controversy, and tragedy. Victor Adebukun Banjo was born in 1930 in Ogun State, Nigeria, among the Yoruba people of Ijebu extraction. His upbringing reflected the values of discipline, education, and service. Nigeria in the 1930s was still firmly under British colonial rule, and opportunities for Africans to rise into positions of influence were limited. Yet, Banjo's early life showed signs of promise. He was intelligent, hardworking, and deeply committed to the idea of serving his country. From a young age, Banjo displayed a rare combination of intellectual brilliance and physical discipline. His family encouraged him to pursue education, and he excelled in his studies. So by the time he reached adulthood, Nigeria was on the cusp of independence, and the military was one of the few institutions where ambitious young men could carve out a path to leadership. But the Nigerian army was still dominated by British officers, and very few Nigerians were allowed to rise beyond junior ranks. Banjo was determined to break that barrier. In the 1950s, Banjo achieved something extraordinary, He was selected to train at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst in England. And Sandhurst was one of the most prestigious military academies in the world as at then, producing officers for the British Army and other Commonwealth nations. So, for a Nigerian to be admitted was rare, and for Banjo, it was a mark of distinction. He became one of the first Nigerian officers commissioned into the army, a symbol of the country's emerging independence and the promise of African leadership. But Banjo was not just a soldier, he was also an engineer. He pursued a degree in mechanical engineering, a discipline that demanded precision, creativity, and problem-solving skills. His dual identity as both a warrior and a technocrat set him apart. Soon he became the first Nigerian to lead the Army's electrical and mechanical engineering corps. Imagine that, a man who could fight wars and fix machines. A man who could command troops and design systems. His colleagues respected him not only for his bravery, but also for his intellect. By the mid-1960s, Banjo had risen to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. He was widely regarded as one of the brightest officers in the Nigerian army. His career trajectory suggested that he might one day become a general, perhaps even the chief of army staff. But Nigeria itself was in turmoil. Ethnic tensions were rising, political instability was spreading, and the coups were shaking the foundation of the young nation. Banjo's life, once marked by steady progress, was about to be thrust into chaos. Nigeria's independence in 1960 had brought hope, but by 1966, the dream was unraveling. The country was divided along ethnic lines, Hausa Fulani in the north, Yoruba in the west, Igbo in the east. Political rivalries turned violent, and the military became both the arbiter and the battleground of power. Banjo, a Yoruba officer with a reputation for integrity, found himself caught in the storm. His rise had been meteoric, but the same qualities that made him respected also made him vulnerable. In a country where suspicion and rivalry ruled, brilliance could be dangerous. Banjo's story in this period is one of promise colliding with tragedy. He had the skills quite alright, He had the vision and the courage to serve Nigeria at its highest level. Yet, the nation's instability meant that his career would not follow the path of steady advancement, but instead, it would be marked by imprisonment and ultimately execution. The rise of Victor Banjo was remarkable, but it was only the beginning of a story that would soon turn dark. Nigeria in 1966 was a storm. Coups, assassinations, and ethnic violence tore the country apart. Victor Banjo was caught right in the middle. In January 1966, a group of young officers staged Nigeria's first coup. Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa was killed along with several senior politicians, General Johnson Agui-Ironsi, an Igbo officer, emerged as head of state. For a moment, it seemed Nigeria might stabilize under military rule, but suspicion ran deep. Banjo, despite his Yoruba heritage and reputation for professionalism, was accused of plotting against Ironsi. He was arrested and thrown into prison. For more than a year, Banjo sat behind bars, uncertain of his fate. His career seemingly destroyed, Then came 1967, the Eastern region, led by Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. He declared independence as the Republic of Biafra. Nigeria was on the brink of civil war. Ojukwu, seeking capable commanders, released Banjo from prison. He offered Banjo a choice, that is to join Biafra and fight for its survival. Banjo agreed. He became a colonial in the Biafran army, a decision that would define the rest of his life. Banjo's most significant mission was the Midwest campaign. In August 1967, he led about 3,000 troops across the Niger River. They captured Benin City and advanced toward Ore with the audacious goal of reaching Lagos, Nigeria's capital. His plan was bold, and his plan was to unite southern Nigeria, Yoruba, Igbo, and others against northern dominance. Banjo envisioned a federation of southern states, free from the control of the Hausa Fulani elite. His strategy was not merely military. It was political, He wanted conquered areas to be ruled by locals, not soldiers, to foster trust and unity. So for a brief moment, Banjo's campaign seemed unstoppable. The fall of Benin City shocked the Nigerian government. Federal forces scrambled to respond. But Banjo's advance stalled at Ore. Yoruba leaders did not rise in support as he had hoped. The southern unity he dreamed of failed to materialize. Federal forces regrouped and prepared a counterattack. Inside Biafra, Banjo's relationship with Ojukwu began to sour. Banjo opposed Ojukwu's decision to install Igbo administrators in non-Igbo regions. He believed this betrayed the idea of southern unity and alienated potential allies. His vision was inclusive, but Ojukwu's policies were seen as ethnocentric. The clash between the two men was not just about military tactics, It was about the future of Nigeria. Banjo wanted a broad coalition, while Ojukwu prioritized Igbo dominance. Their disagreement became a fatal rift. Along the line, suspicion grew. Ojukwu accused Banjo of plotting a coup against him alongside Emmanuel Ifeajuna, Philip Alale, and Sam Agbam. Banjo was arrested. A military tribunal was convened. The trial was swift, harsh, and unforgiving. Banjo was accused of treason, of conspiring to overthrow Ojukwu and seize power. Whether the charges were true remains debated. Some historians argue Banjo was innocent, a victim of political paranoia. Others suggest he may have miscalculated, believing he could rally Yoruba support against both the federal government and Ojukwu. The Midwest campaign, once a daring attempt to reshape Nigeria's future, ended in disaster. Banjo's vision of southern unity collapsed. His relationship with Ojukwu turned to enmity, and his fate was sealed by suspicion and rivalry. The soldier who had risen through brilliance and courage now faced death. Not at the hands of the federal forces, but from those he had chosen to serve. September 22, 1967, Enugu, Biafra, Victor Banjo and 3 others faced the firing squad. Their crime, treason, Their punishment, death. Banjo's execution shocked many. Just weeks earlier, he had been entrusted with Biafra's most daring campaign. Now he was gone. His death marked a turning point in the war. Biafra lost a skilled commander, and trust between Igbo leaders and non-Igbo allies collapsed. The civil war grew darker, more brutal, and more divisive. Banjo's story did not end with his death. Writers and intellectuals, most notably Wole Soyinka, later argued that Banjo was innocent. Wole Soyinka believed Banjo was a nationalist, a man who dreamed of a federation of southern states, not a traitor. So, in Wole Soyinka's view, Banjo was executed not because of guilt, but because of politics. His vision threatened Ojukwu's authority, and in the chaos of war, suspicion triumphed over trust. Historians continue to debate Banjo's role. That was he a visionary betrayed by politics, or a soldier who miscalculated in a time of chaos? Some see him as a tragic hero, a man of intelligence and courage destroyed by circumstances beyond his control, while others view him as a naive, believing he could unite groups whose division ran too deep. But what is clear is that Banjo's life illustrates the dangers of division, the fragility of trust, and the cost of war. Banjo's legacy is complex. He was a pioneer, one of the first Nigerians to train at Sandhurst, one of the first to lead Army's engineering corps. He was a nationalist, committed to the idea of Southern unity. He was a soldier. He was brave and determined, yet he was also a victim, destroyed by suspicion and rivalry. His execution remains one of the most controversial episodes of the Nigerian Civil War. The lessons of Banjo's life are profound. His story demonstrates how fragile trust can be in times of crisis. In the chaos of war, suspicion often outweighs loyalty, and political calculations can override justice, Banjo's execution was not just the death of a man, it was the death of a vision. His dream of a united southern Nigeria free from ethnic domination was extinguished on that September day in Enugu. The war that followed became increasingly brutal, with atrocities committed on both sides, and the positivity of unity grew ever more distant, Banjo's life also highlights the dangers of ethnic politics. Nigeria's divisions were deep, and leaders often exploited them for power. Banjo tried to rise above those divisions, advocating for inclusivity and cooperation, but his vision clashed with the realities of ethnic rivalry. Ojukwu's insistence on Igbo administrators in non-Igbo regions alienated allies and undermined Banjo's strategy. The result was mistrust, betrayal, and ultimately Banjo's death. His story is a reminder that unity requires more than rhetoric. It requires genuine commitment to fairness and inclusivity. Another lesson is the cost of war. Banjo was a brilliant officer, an engineer, a nationalist. His skills could have been used to build Nigeria, to strengthen its institutions, to advance its development, but instead he was consumed by conflict, imprisoned and executed. War destroys not only lives but also potential. Banjo's death deprived Nigeria of one of its brightest minds, a loss that cannot be measured. His story is a testament to the human cost of civil strife, the wasted potential of those who might have contributed to peace and progress. Banjo's execution also raises questions about justice, Was he truly guilty of treason, or was he a victim of political paranoia? The tribunal that condemned him was swift and unforgiving, leaving little room for defense. In times of war, justice often becomes a casualty replaced by expediency. Banjo's trial reflects this reality. Whether guilty or innocent, he was denied a fair chance to defend himself. His death was not only a tragedy but also a miscarriage of justice, a reminder of how war corrodes the rule of law. Despite his tragic end, Banjo's legacy endures. Writers, historians, and intellectuals continue to debate his role. Wole Soyinka, Nigeria's Nobel laureate, has been one of his most vocal defenders, portraying him as a nationalist betrayed by politics. Soyinka's writings keep Banjo memory alive, ensuring that his story is not forgotten. For many, Banjo represents the possibility of a different Nigeria, one built on unity and inclusivity rather than division and rivalry. His life and death remain a source of reflection, a lesson for future generations. Banjo's story also resonates beyond Nigeria. It speaks to the universal challenges of nation building, the difficulties of overcoming ethnic divisions, and the dangers of political paranoia and the cost of war. His life is a case study in the complexities of leadership, the risks of vision, and the fragility of trust. For countries struggling with division and conflict, Banjo's story offers lessons in both hope and caution. Hope because he dreamed of unity. Caution because his dream was destroyed by suspicion and rivalry. So in the end, Victor Banjo was a man of intelligence, courage, and conviction. He rose from humble beginnings to become one of Nigeria's brightest officers. He dreamed of a united southern Nigeria, free from ethnic domination. He fought bravely, he led boldly, and stood firmly for his beliefs. Yet, he was destroyed by suspicion, rivalry, and the brutal realities of civil conflict. His life was a story of promise and tragedy. His life was of vision and betrayal. His life was of courage and loss. This was the story of Victor Banjo, a soldier, an engineer, a nationalist, a man whose life ended too soon, but whose legacy still sparks debate today. His rise showed the promise of Nigeria's independence. His fall revealed the dangers of division and the costs of war. His execution remains a symbol of the fragility of trust and the brutality of conflicts. Yet, his vision of unity endures. A reminder of what might have been and what still could be. Here at The Clue, we bring you the hidden truths and the forgotten heroes and the lessons history still teaches us. If you found this story intriguing, subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more. I'm going to see you in the next one.